there. It isn't just something that's out there and research is good. No, science is what actually allows us to all be better off. And so it's about our human health, it's about our clean air, it's about our clean water, it's about cures for illness, it's about human health and healing. And so we're going to continue to advance that no matter what here in the 7th District, but I won't lie to you. This is a grim time for science in our country, and it's not just Donald Trump and his cabinet. It is all the Republicans that are continuing to move forward that agenda, who are not speaking out and in fact doing everything they can to implement an agenda that benefits only the largest corporations and the wealthiest, like they did with their tax cut, the GOP tax scam, and it's at the cost of our planet and our children. And I know that there are organizers out here like Jamie Margolin that's organizing the March for Young People in Climate Change, because this is their future. And so we are going to fight back against the lies that they're telling. Let's start with climate change. The president and many in the Republican Party say that it's a hoax. Trump withdrew our country from the Paris Climate Accords. The Department of Interior removed climate change from its strategic plan. They revoked President Obama's Clean Power Plan, exposing our cities to millions stronger air pollution and threatening over 20 million people who suffer from asthma.
Okay.
And just this month, they revoked President Obama's stronger vehicle emissions standard. And there is no words for that other than they are living in a different reality. The Paris Accords are meant to stop global temperatures from rising more than 2 degrees Celsius, but to get anywhere near that goal, we have to start working on that right now. And let's talk about the EPA just for a minute, because I've always believed we should call the EPA the Agency for Clean Health, Clean Water, and Human Health. That is really what it is. That's what is protecting it. It's the work of the agency that of every single thing that allows us to live healthy lives. And that's why my Democratic colleagues and I have signed a letter saying that it's way past time to boot Pruitt. Scott Pruitt is a corrupt, greedy, egomaniacal cabinet secretary who's causing incredible damage just because he wants to benefit his industry lobbyist friends. But there's specific things that he's done, too many to call out, but let me just name a few. He's green-lighted the pesticide that the EPA had previously found to cause neurological harm to our babies. Why?
You gotta pay attention.
To benefit Dow Chemical. He has overturned Obama-era regulations that required mining companies to provide remediation and clean up the communities that they ravage. Who benefits? The mining companies that would have had to pay about $7.1 billion for that remediation. And just yesterday, the Republican Senate confirmed a man who used to be the lobbyist for the biggest coal mining company as the #2 person at the EPA. And it's not just enough for the Republicans to undermine regulations. They're attacking the very scientific process that's at the core of science. So just last month, Polluting Pruitt decided that he alone would decide what is and isn't acceptable science for the EPA to use when developing policies that affect your health and environment. Literally, he said that he would no longer allow the agency to use studies that include non-public scientific data to develop rules. Well, so much of making that connection between air pollution and what causes air pollution is because we use the data of millions of people that don't want that to be public. And he's now said that unless that's all made public, he won't rely on that information. And let's be clear that while the Republican agenda includes undermining real science, it also includes using fake science to enact their broader agenda. So, for example, the Trump administration got rid of the Affordable Care Act's mandate to make sure that birth control is covered by insurance, and they claim that access actually harms women's health more than it hurts, relying on ridiculous studies that actually don't show that at all. So the reality is we know that research is absolutely essential to public health, and that's why we Democrats are insisting that we use that research to really show that gun violence, what we've always known, gun violence is a public health issue. That's why we need to make sure we use that research and we enact a ban on assault rifles, a ban on high-capacity magazines, and that we follow the lead of the Parkland students around the country. And we have to make sure that we challenge Ryan Zinke as he slashes our public lands and privatizes our national monuments. Let's be really clear that that GOP tax scam that you've heard me talk about over and over again, and today there's a tax march this afternoon, that scam also included an opening up of the drilling in the Arctic Refuge, which is sacred to indigenous people and species. And our coastal plains are being sold off to oil companies to be drilled and fracked. So, is everyone completely depressed by all of that that's happening? Okay, it's really clear that we are out here because we are a minority party and we do have to be an opposition party. But it is also clear that as vigorous as our opposition is, we have to be a proposition party. And we have to actually propose the vision of what we believe in. And so that's why I, along with my Democratic colleagues and Senator Merkley in the Senate, have introduced the 100 by 50 bill, 100% renewable energy by 2050. Let's keep our fossil fuels in the ground. And that's why, along with my colleagues Don McEachin and Nanette Berrigan, we started a new United for Climate Justice task force. And that's why we've introduced the College for All bill in the House, so we can make sure that our students can actually go and get affordable college. And that's why we have a South Asian Heart Health Awareness Act to actually address cardiac issues within the South Asian community. And that's why we're making sure, and you're gonna meet one of our real champions of every single one of these issues in just a minute. That's why we're making sure we have equal pay for equal work, and that women get paid for their work in science, and that we encourage that. And that's why we're fighting for immigration reform, because guess what? Some of our greatest scientists in this country were immigrants who came here and contributed those skills to who we are. And so I want to take just 1 minute before I get to my introduction of my very, very special guest and a champion for the United States and for progressive values. I want to take a minute to say that while we hear a lot about white male scientists, how many of you know about Mamie Phillips Clark, the first black woman to earn a doctoral degree from Columbia University, whose work on psychological research into racial biases was vital to the Supreme Court's Brown v. Board of Education decision? How many of you recognize every day the work of Katherine Johnson, one of the human computers at NASA, who was featured in Hidden Figures? Or Jane Cook Wright, a black woman who was one of the first doctors to work with cancer-fighting compounds that led to the current treatment for breast and skin cancers.
All right, America, here we go.
These are important figures. As a proud immigrant myself who came here at 16 with nothing in my pocket, to now be the first Indian American woman in the U.S. House of Representatives is a responsibility to make sure that just as I had shoulders to stand on, that we are creating those ladders for every girl and boy